Hello and welcome to Apex Instant Tips, episode 88, brought to you every Friday at 12:05 Eastern Time. I'm Anton, and Hayden, it's great to have you with us again today.
Great to be here, Anton. And I'm excited about today's tip. It's about a subject that I think it matters to both of us. It's on the theme of accessibility.
I'm really glad that we've sort of stumbled upon this theme as a recurring topic on Apex Instant Tips. I've come to realize that throughout our lives, just about every one of us at some point is going to need some accessibility accommodations, whether it's physical accessibility, whether it's got to do with using applications. At some point, all of us need it, and we will all benefit from taking part in a little accessibility awareness on a recurring basis. So,
Absolutely. And I'm glad that we can play our part in raising awareness for accessibility in Apex, because I think it's an overlooked component.
Yeah, and I know you have a coworker that is unsighted, and you shared an anecdote with me that just sticks in my brain. I think about it so frequently. What was this anecdote?
Yes, I asked my coworker Vlad what example he could point me to of that represents a good standard for an accessible website, so that I could learn from it. And he said, there are no accessible websites.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine in today's world that there is no website that you consider, not one, that you consider easy to use? I mean, that alone means we should be doing our part to improve upon that. We're not going to solve it, but every one of us needs to take that to heart.
In 5 minutes, we're going to show a little way how we can ameliorate the situation.
Excellent. Well, let's see what we have.
So without further ado,
let's click the timer off. 5 minutes is all we get.
Apex users who have upgraded to a minimum version of...
Hang on, I need to put my glasses on for this. Okay.
Will have noticed that in Apex Advisor, there is now a new test that has been asserted under accessibility. Region has row header. What does this mean to you, Anton?
Well, I only know about this because you showed it to me just this week. But if you click on it, it gives you not a great description, but basically what it means is as you're going through a report, whether a classic report, interactive grid, interactive report, the additional columns are more descriptive. I guess that's the best way to say it.
And yeah, so this is a rather technical description. I think it's best explained by way of demo. So let's do so. So I'm going to turn on Apple VoiceOver utility, and I've muted it because this would be a very low, noisy experience otherwise. But what is being displayed here is what the VoiceOver is reading out. So I'm going to take its invitation to skip to main content. I'm going to navigate through this page. I'm going to get to the report, and bear with me one moment. And finally, I'm ready for my demo. Here I'm on the created column of my report. And so here's where the demo begins. So as I navigate down this column, what is VoiceOver reading out, Anton?
So it's row 3, 9 months ago, row 4, 9 months ago, which is, okay, I know it's 9 months ago, but what's the row 4?
Yeah. Exactly. And I could go over to this column and name surgery column 2, and then make the assertion. But what if you had what do you have if you had 10 columns? Like that would not be friendly to navigate. So let's make it a little bit friendlier. I'm going to edit my report to now under at the column level, because you can do this for more columns than just one. Under accessibility, there's now this new toggle, value identifies row. And you might have to turn this on for as many rows as makes sense for your content. And so now when I navigate my my page and I get back to created, what is it saying now, Anton?
Now it says internal 9 months ago, ortho 9 months ago, surgery 9 months ago. And if you had multiple columns, as you went to each column, it would give you that name column first. So therapy, 123 Main Street. That kind of thing, which to you and me, like a little thing, but oh my gosh, I think if you really had to, rely on this, what a difference.
For sure. And so the standard that has been asserted in Advisor is that every report, whether it's classic, interactive grid, interactive report, they should all have at least one column identified as the row, as the value identifies row.
Okay, another good reason to make sure you keep up to date and upgrade your Apex installations, because we get more and more of these features. Anything else for us that we can show?
Well, yeah, so that's that for that tip. We have another 2 minutes or so left. Anything else that jumps out at you in my page, Anton, for being inaccessible?
It's funny. I put my glasses on to see this, and I think you actually solved this. I may not have needed them, but the headers of this name created are hard for me to read. And in fact, the AIT insurance company at the top, the contrast there, these are the reasons I have to put my glasses on.
Right. And let me go ahead and turn off voiceover. And as developers, we needn't have to guess what is inaccessible about our theme. If you go to Theme Roller will actually spell it out. They have a they have a utility in here that will give you a contrast ratio for the colors that you have chosen for your theme. So right off the top, it's telling me that the color combination that I've chosen for my header here is not sufficiently contrasting to be accessible. So,
and truly, that's the reason I have to put my glasses on. I can read the other things, but this. Yeah.
So all I have to do is come in here, improve the contrast ratio between this blue and this white. The contrast ratio that it calculates is higher. It meets the threshold, and it gives me this green check mark. So another easy thing that Apex will help you do to make your application more accessible. In the last 20 seconds, let me call out that all Apex versions have an accessibility guide. So for whatever version of Apex you're on, be sure to check out the associated accessibility guide. It's about a 20-minute read. I think this is required reading for any Apex developer.
So that's our time, but I'm going to say it's 5-minute tip and 20 minutes of homework. I am so dedicated to this that I am advocating in the strongest possible terms that this document is mandatory reading as part of every employee's onboarding. Every employee, whether it be HR, I mean, just everyone needs awareness training for accessibility. In our case, for all of our employees, that really is about Apex development. So, as I mentioned.
I'll also plug that I hope that people can be inspired to make use of whatever accessibility tools are available in their respective operating system. So I make frequent use of the Apple VoiceOver utility. PC users can make use of JAWS. It's a small thing to do to try to experience your applications from the viewpoint of someone who is unsighted.
I think that's great. I think we all need to be able to do these things. And I'm going to say I would love it if this Apex Instant Tip became part of both InSum's onboarding, but for other companies as well that use Apex. I think the combination of this document and just hopefully our passion on the subject will inspire people to do this.
And I see that Rich is chiming in with some Apex history that I didn't know.
Wow, I did not know about that at all. Interesting. There was an Easter egg that I think was a transparent GIF at the lower right on that same product, but I didn't know about that one. That's great. So we have a few questions. I'll tell you what, we've got an off-topic tip, we've got a wisdom of the week, and we've got a number of questions that are on and off topic. I'm available, Hayden, if you are, to do all of these things.
Let's do it.
All right, if you only came in for 5 minutes, it's actually 25 minutes because you still have to do the homework. But go ahead, do all those things. If you like the video, send a letter to your mom, all those things.
Write to your congressman.
Write to your congressman, right, yes. So I'll tell you what, let's split things up a little bit. I have a wisdom of the week, then we'll answer some questions. We'll do an off-topic tip.
Great.
Okay, Hayden, you did all the work on this past thing. I'll give the wisdom of the week and the off-topic tip. My wisdom of the week is that You never need an excuse to get together with friends, but it sure seems to help. I've had a whole bunch of experiences recently over the last 2.5 years, not doing much with friends, and just not getting together, and then saying, "Oh, we should get together. Oh, we should get together," but then it doesn't happen. Having an excuse to get together with a friend can really make all the difference. And as you know, Hayden, the whole point of this show, the tip is completely secondary. My reason for doing this show is to get to spend some time with you every week. I know that sounds so corny, but it is absolutely true. So
I feel the same way.
Yeah, excellent. So nice. But I really do believe that, and I'm going to do a better effort to schedule and make some excuses to get together with friends new and old.
Yeah, I think this comes across as very profound to me. Birthdays seem rather arbitrary, but they're calendar excuses to get together.
Yeah, exactly it. All right, so let's answer some questions, and then we'll do an off-topic tip. Actually, the 20th anniversary celebration that somebody just mentioned, that is very much what inspired my wisdom of the week. It's a true. I didn't look up this wisdom of the week on the internet or anything. It was inspired very much by that very element. So let's see. We've got a few questions.
So a good question. I actually haven't tested this. So I would assume so. I think the use case is it's worth testing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had that same question and didn't get a chance to test it because I truly just found out about this week. But my guess is that it would work. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would wonder in what circumstance would you have columns that are critical to describing a row that you would want to hide, but
yeah, well, you might want to combine them in a particular way that they read nicely, as opposed to like searching on them and that kind of thing. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. Is there an Apex API to create email templates from PL SQL outside of Apex Builder? My answer to that is no. I've looked for that API to do the same thing. Somebody might tell me I'm wrong, or there might be one that's coming up in a new one, but there is not one to create an email template. What I will say is that you can create a generic email template and use a substitution string within it to push in whatever content you want. And I've done that to have just one or two really generic ones that we push it in. I'll also use this as an opportunity to plug something called In Some Mail. We have a utility that we make available to our customers that does a lot of features around email templates, and it's now called In Some Comms because it also does SMS texting and that kind of thing. I don't try to make this show an advertisement, but Stephen Feuerstein did a lot of the work on this, and if you know the name Stephen Feuerstein, you know it's a good utility.
Right.
So, all right. Guidance on web accessibility in the ADA. Not so much a question, I think, but there are utilities you can use to scan your application for compliance. There is ADA guidance. There's not a single standard that says yes or no. There are tools that give you ratings and those kinds of things that do it. But what I'll say is within a given tool set, some things are easier than others. The guidance that URL that Hayden pointed to actually talks about some things that Apex does really well, but it also talks about some places where Apex falls short and gives you some manual methodologies for doing that. I'll give one example of this. If you have regions, the regions get the right headers, H1, H2, and so forth. But when you start having sub-regions, Apex doesn't do a great job of making them sub-regions. And so your screen readers won't indicate a hierarchy at an appropriate level for that. And they give you some methodologies for getting past that. But yeah, I think that the best guidance I have when it comes to Apex in that space is the document that we linked to. Hayden, any other thoughts on that?
I would also advocate that people hire people with disabilities. No better resource than to actually work alongside someone who has some accessibility issues.
Right. I mentioned earlier that my goal is to get everyone at InSum to have awareness training. And when I said that, I meant that very explicitly. Everyone, every single person. So yeah, HR included. So Rich. Yeah. So I do know that Easter egg got removed eventually, but I like that the image was still there. So. Oh, and I know what he means. The image was still there. Like you couldn't click on something, but if you knew the URL to it, you could find it. Yes.
Interesting.
Can you talk a little bit about using debug mode to test large data sets? Oh, sure. I mean, it's off topic, but I'll very briefly say I use the data generator, which we covered recently, to create large data sets whenever I'm doing it, and do it in the development environment. But one of the things that I often try to do is if I know that there's a particular screen that large data set is likely to impact, I will run it in debug mode and see how long it took for 10 records, 1,000 records, 100,000 records, 1,000,000 records, and just see what kind of pattern I'm getting. Because hopefully that pattern is going to actually not even be linear. Hopefully it'll be a little bit asymptotic, because the way indexes work is you should be able to put in, more than double as much for very little extra things. So having an idea when you look at the performance, when you put these in, that'll give you an idea. And the reason to do that is at some point the optimizer may switch to using a different index.
Absolutely.
And so that's an important thing to look for.
And something that we've plugged earlier is if you put it in trace mode, you'll actually get the explain plan that Apex is using.
Yes. Great question from Plumman. Hayden, you definitely want to address that?
There are. I work with Vlad Goncharov, who is a little bit famous in his circle for. He actually works on the Apex team. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get to meet him in office hours in the future. It's not my place to say, but
I would love to invite him as a guest onto this show. So let's work on that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But Hayden, you made the point to me that Vlad participates fully on the team. He writes SQL, he edits HTML, and he's. Yeah,
absolutely. I think many of us may underestimate the potential that an unsighted developer can contribute to the team. So Vlad demonstrates eloquently that that an unsighted developer can contribute at a very high level.
Yeah, great. I also have an off-topic tip. This has been a great discussion so far, but longer than we usually go. My off-topic tip is actually Rich Soule's Cars and Code blog from this week. We're going to share my screen. It's this, and we've got the URL there as well. Basically, it's the ability to get your Linux prompt to include the username, the server that you're on, the database that you're using, the time, and the full path to where you currently are, and a new line. This is, of course, I would say this is a bash shell. Rich talks about doing this. If you're on a Mac OS, your default shell is ZSH. This is just the one I'm using right now. It doesn't give me the database thing, but it gives me many of the other pieces. It gives me the username. I don't care about the machine in my case because I know the machine I'm on. It gives me the something else here. I can't remember. Maybe I think it's the date and time. And then it gives me the actual directory I'm in. I wasn't able to figure out how to get the new line character that Rich has on here. But anyway, and to get it to persist, you'll want to put it in a .zshrc. I think I'll just comment on Rich's blog to do this for people that are on a Mac.
And as someone who has to navigate and connect to many databases throughout my day, something like this is invaluable because you don't want to commit the wrong thing to the wrong database.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. Rich, thanks so much for the Cars and Code blog post on that. And that's my off-topic tip. People don't know. So I'm going to repeat. You've got homework today. Anything else from you, Hayden?
No. I wish everyone a good weekend.
All right. I have pre-homework for next week's tip that I'll have us tweet out. But maybe I don't know what you call pre-homework, but so we'll see. See if anybody wants to do it. All right. Do all the things. See you next week.
Take care.